In the modern world, people have become so freaking disconnected, and you pile on top of that midlife and all the responsibilities. Women don't have the opportunity to get together in community as much as they used to. And so that was a big part of how this podcast was born. Karen and I have literally not been in the same physical space since we were 13. At some point, it just became irrelevant. She's one of my besties. She wasn't for a long time just because we weren't connected. But here we are, we show up, we do this podcast. Kind of like the Early Birds Club. Like, what do we like? We like the fun. What do we like? We like the community. We like being in touch with each other regularly. What's the problem? We don't want to stay up that late. What's the problem? Airplane flights, living in two different states. So how can we make the good parts work, the parts that we find joy in, and morph the others into something that makes a lot more sense?
I love how you just drew that connection right to the podcast. Good work, girl. Good work.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Drinks with the Girls. Conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Drinks with the Girls. I am excited for this episode because if you haven't heard of what we're going to talk about today, I think you're going to like it, listeners. And also, I'm extremely excited to tell Lisa what I'm drinking.
She's cheated on me. She stepped out and got another drink in between recording because we're doing a double feature right now, which is not what we always do. So now I'm like curious.
No, I came prepared. I didn't leave. I brought both.
All right.
But several months back, we had an episode on moving abroad and women who move abroad in midlife. And my girl, Shannon Whaley, who lives in Italy, talked about pocket
Shut
espresso.
The front door. She sent it to you?
No, I ordered it online.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay.
Pocket espresso to go.
Shut the front door.
Look at that little straw. Okay, let me take a sip.
Oh my God.
Holy mackerel. Yep, that's espresso.
Like holy mackerel too sweet or holy mackerel I'm about
delicious.
To like levitate?
And like as soon as I drink this, I'll be flying around, but that's okay.
I mean, my mind goes to merch, right? Should we like market Drinks with the Girls pocket coffees in the US and like import it? Oh my God, you guys, if you're not on YouTube, like Karen's face is like crinkling up right now. Like she gets this big smile on her face when she like gets to take a sip out of the straw and then she sips it and she's just like, oh God, is that oh God, it's strong? Or like I'm trying to pinpoint the reaction here.
It's a little crunchy in there. I'm not sure.
Crunchy? Like coffee bean crunchy?
Maybe. Yep.
Okay, Shannon, we need you to like hook us up with the research on that.
What's the expiration date? It expired when did it expire? Oh shit. Maybe that's why it's crunchy. I think it expired in October. Great. Anyway, TBD, listeners. Let's see what happens. I bought it right after we did the episode. So that tracks because we did the episode, I think, in September. Maybe I won't be drinking the rest of that. All right, my love. What are you drinking?
Oh my God. Now we have to decide whether the crunchy is like a good thing or you just like infected yourself. Oh my God.
No, I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's supposed to be.
Shannon, save us. Oh my God. I needed that. Crunchy pocket coffee. All right. So I am 99% sure there is no crunchy in my coffee. I am drinking my typical Starbucks or Starbucks special that I've been nursing over. This is now the second episode we were recording. It is a grande peppermint mocha, half sweet with oat milk. Yes, it takes more time to order it than it does to drink it, but fight me, I dare you. And some water. No crunch in either.
Good. That's good. That's how it should be.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
So listeners, today we're going to talk about something super exciting. And I think that if you haven't heard about these roving pop-up dance parties called the Early Birds Club, you need to go check it out after we finish chatting. Because if you like to dance, if you like time with your girls, if you like to have fun, if you like to let your hair down, this is for you. So Lisa and I both found out about the Early Birds Club in different ways. So Lisa, how did you find out about Early Birds Club?
Yeah, so I'll put this in the show notes, but it was an article in the New York Times about them. You know, a lot of times when we come up with our topics, we have, how does anything get done in the wonderful world? A Google Doc. And we just like throw stuff up, right? And our rule is both of us have to want to do it. Like it can't be something that one person is just like, oh, no, right? Like, and sometimes we'll do episodes that like speak to one of our businesses more than the other, but the rule is both people have to be on board. That's kind of our baseline. And the other rule is when we're talking about a guest is they have to bring something to the table, right? They're not here hawking stuff to you guys unless it's something we really believe in. So I shot an email to Karen, was like, oh my gosh, have you heard of this? And it turns out, because it's like every great idea, that your friend has also heard of it too. So how did you find out about these?
If I had to guess, I would probably say Instagram. But I started following them probably, I don't know how many, maybe a year ago. So they're pop-up dance clubs, basically. And so they go all around the country, literally just making this club for women only. And the thing that really I liked about it was the timing. It's from 6 p.m. to like 10 or 10:30 p.m., right? And their tagline is dance parties for ladies with shit to do in the morning. And it's traditionally women in midlife. You know, I think older millennials, certainly Gen X, maybe some boomers, I don't know. But they play music from the 80s to the 2000s. So it's very nostalgic. There's no men, which is fantastic because I don't think at this stage in life we really like dealing with, sorry men, but you know, when you go to a club or you go out dancing or you go somewhere with your girlfriends, you don't want to deal with the men in the room. You just want to be with your girlfriends. You just want to dance. You just want to have fun. So, I mean, of course, unless you're with your partner. But this hits all of those boxes. And it was started by two, I think they were best friends from like high school, two women who started this. Unfortunately, Susie Lee has passed away.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. She had stage 4. And
how old was she?
She was not old. Ugh. She was, I want to say, I don't even know, maybe 50.
Jesus.
Yeah. So her partner, Laura, is still doing these. But Susie was like, from what I understand, she was more the dreamer. Like she was, and then Laura was more like the practical. Like Susie, I guess, wanted it to be a nonprofit. She wanted to donate all the money to charity. And Laura's like, well, how about 10%? How about we make some money too? So there was that balance. If you go on Instagram, you can see it's earlybirds_club. And they have the last event that Susie was at, and she was in a wheelchair. She's barely whispering, but she gave the most inspirational speech talking about how the Early Birds Club is really for connection. It's for fun. It's for women who are the caretakers to have a chance to just not worry about anybody but themselves and their own delight. Yeah.
I think her sister has taken over
Oh, has she?
Yeah, because I saw that in the article. So there's a quote from this article that I really like because I think I mean, there was the whole business part of it, right? And obviously they have a niche with nightclubs because nightclubs don't really have like a huge audience from 6 to 10. So that was one of their things. It was like, yeah, it was easy to find venues because nightclubs typically don't get going until after 10:30. One of the things the author says, and I think it speaks to kind of defining the space, she says, I've logged lots of time in female-dominated spaces that I feel a little prickly, work meetings, or brainy, book clubs, or dutiful, the PTO. Early Birds, by contrast, is all the sleepovers, summer camps, and bachelorettes of my youth, but concentrated and distilled, purified of all mean girl behavior, insecurity, exclusion, competition, and significantly sweatier.
I love that. And when you first told me that quote, because I just look at these pop-ups, the Early Birds Club is just pure fun, right? Like you don't have to be 27, to have the market on fun, right? And dancing. And so, but when you said that quote, it made me think of the places where women don't really feel joy, right? Even though they might be with other women.
Yeah.
It just doesn't quite bring that level of just let me let my hair down and just be authentically me. And if I
come as you are,
come as you are. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of, what they've created with the Early Birds Club is like, it's literally come as you are. Doesn't matter what you're wearing. It doesn't matter what your dance moves are like, doesn't matter how old you are. I remember Jamie Lee Curtis said something, I don't know, a while ago, like year ago. And she just talked about how,
I know what you're talking about.
Why can't concerts start at like 6 p.m. or something like that? Or why can't, nightlife start at like 6 p.m.? And I mean, we can relate, right? Because who wants to be out till 1 or 2 in the morning? Not this girl.
No. Yeah. That used to be my jam, not so much anymore. And I mean, I think if y'all aren't seeing the parallels between the Early Birds Club and Drinks with the Girls, like let us smack you upside the head because that's exactly what we're here for, is a non-judgmental community for women, for sure. This is just more synchronous versus asynchronous, which is kind of how we roll, I guess I would say.
I just imagine, when the Early Birds Club last came to my area, it was last October, and I had seen it and it was last minute. And so I invited my girlfriend and she wasn't able to go. And I was like, all right, well, maybe next time. But let me tell you, I think they're coming back to San Diego area in March and I am going to go.
Fun!
Because, think about it. Think about when you're on the dance floor, especially if you're dancing to like 80s music or music that you grew up with, like songs that you know every word, it takes you somewhere else, right? And so I just think that what these women have done in creating this safe place for women to just be themselves and to just fucking have a good time. It's like Susie said in her last speech that she gave, it's a place for you to remember who the fuck you are. And to your point, Lisa, that's what we're about here at Drinks with the Girls. So that's why we both felt like we had to bring the Early Birds Club to the Drinks with the Girls attention because they might be in your area and this might be something that you want to go check out.
My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers like my Midlife Reclamation Guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers.
I'm like feeling all the nostalgia feels right now because, again, as most of you know, I went to Smith College, all women's college, and it wasn't that we didn't have men at our parties. Like they were there, but we just didn't give a flying. Like we were out there on the dance floor in our houses, it's code for a dorm, or like it'd be the same thing as like a sorority house, right? So not like a house, but like a bigger dwelling. And we'd move all the furniture and have the dance parties and have the DJs in there. And it didn't matter if you quote unquote had someone to dance with or not. Like we were just out there doing our thing. And what's interesting is particularly for my class, I think especially resonates with that because the music piece has always been a thing. Like we literally have a Spotify playlist that one of our classmates made, who's a DJ, that when we got screwed and couldn't have our reunion during COVID, like she sent that around and we all like had a virtual dance party kind of a thing. It's that kind of vibe of all of that. And I'm saying all this with kind of like a warmness in my heart, because this is right about the time, I won't spoiler alert the Stranger Things finale, but just for those of you that haven't seen it or have no interest in it, there's like a massive shout out to music and the idea of Smith College and women. I'll just leave it at that. So that's been kind of fun to see explode all over the interwebs.
How fun for you.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I love that.
Yeah. And so I think one of the things we talked about is it's like the old and the new, right? Just because you're older and want to do it earlier in the day doesn't mean a dance party isn't fun anymore. So how do you keep the fun parts but like adjust it is kind of the vibe of this, which is what I really, really love.
I think, sometimes we think that, oh, we're too old, or this time in life has passed me by, like the clubbing days or whatever. I never really had clubbing days, but I certainly love to dance. Not that I'm not great at it, but I love it. And I mean, not to focus on the men thing, but I just thought, it was just when we're recording this, it's January 2nd. So, we just had New Year's Eve, and I saw this video of these younger girls who were celebrating the stroke of midnight, right? And there's 3 of them, and they're have their phones, they're taking their selfies, there's fireworks behind them, they're jumping around and dancing around, they're like, yay, Happy New Year, and they're hugging each other. And then there's a little caption on the thing that says, it takes exactly 12 seconds for a man to come in and ruin the women's joy. And it's this dude, he comes in and he sees them celebrating and he wants to kind of be a part of it. And then they're just like looking at him like, bro, come on. And so I kind of get that same feeling with the Early Birds Club. Not that I don't love dancing with Tony, because he loves to dance and he's very fun, and he will not say no if I want him on the dance floor. But when you go out with women, or if you're out by yourself and you want to dance, you don't want to have to worry about men in any way, shape, or form. So I just think that, there's zero judgment in these groups. There's zero performing, right? It's just pure, unadulterated joy.
Well, and let's take the midlife piece out of it. I mean, the nightclub culture is very different now. Back in the 70s when it was all Studio 54, right? And all that, and everybody doing drugs and this and that and the other. Like now, like, is the date rape culture, right? Like women today, when they go out with girlfriends, like it's not being overly cautious to make sure someone doesn't roofie you.
Yeah.
So I think that having an environment where you're kind of safe and protected to just go there and dance, like I am for that, man. Bring it on.
Yeah. Samesies.
What attracted me to this topic in a lot of ways is I think it speaks to, there are definitely societal ideas about like what should be fun for us in midlife and what shouldn't be. And definitely, we always talk about like rules and expectations and good girl, Like, I don't know that a pack of midlife women showing up at a nightclub would, frankly, first of all, ever happen. But also, like, people would be like, it's a little weird, right? So what are the elements that were fun for us in our youth that aren't fun now, but also elements that are fun that we'd like to preserve? Because I think that's really, frankly, the business idea in terms of where this is at, is preserving the aspects that are fun, but converting the stuff that is not so appealing now to something different, i.e., raise your hand if you were up at midnight this year when the ball dropped.
I actually was.
Oh, God, really? On purpose?
Well, kind of. I mean, yeah. Okay. We were playing games, and then we started watching movies, and I did take a little nap, probably about 9:30. But then I got a second win. That's my routine.
Those that stayed up past midnight that didn't take a nap, raise your hand. Okay, I'll qualify that. But I think the idea of like in our 20s, probably even our 30s, like you were lame ass loser if you weren't up past midnight on New Year's Eve. Like, what's wrong with you, right? Now,
Well, I think even on a regular night, if you want to go home early,
everybody, it makes you feel old, right? But I also think that, getting enough sleep is highly underrated. We did an episode on sleep and just how difficult that is. And I think there's a lot of research out there that talks about how sleep is super important. By the way, even for people that are younger, and it's super important at our age because it's the time that your body can rebuild, right? So listen to that episode. That was a fun episode to do. Talked about things like revenge, bedtime, procrastination. Say that 30 times fast. But at any rate, what it doesn't mean is, oh, well, I'm in my 50s. I no longer think dancing is fun.
yeah. And I think if somebody has always liked dancing, I don't think they're going to get to their 50s and think it's not fun. I think it has to do with either those rules that we've talked about on our Breaking the Rules episode. It's like, oh, well, I'm this age, so I'm not supposed to dance like that anymore, or I'm not supposed to go let my hair down, and or if you're a mom,
Yeah.
like let's say you're not in midlife, let's say you're in your 30s and you want to go dance with your girlfriends or whatever, but oh my gosh, what kind of an irresponsible mom are you?
But I also think it's just simply the idea of access, right? Like the article makes this point, like it's not like you're going to a ton of weddings when you're in your 40s and 50s. Like, yeah, you still go to weddings, but like that's a particular thing where, people are up and dancing, right? It's not like you can't go out dancing with your partner. Like Karen's talked about how she and Tony used to go to 80s night and things like that. But it's just those, if we're specifically talking about dancing, those opportunities are not, shall we say, as plentiful as they were in our 20s when me and my girls would jump in the car and drive 2 hours to Boston and party all night and get 2 hours sleep, do classes, and do the whole thing all over again, right? Like now I think about that and I'm like, oh my God, I need a nap, right?
No,
but
sounds exhausting.
Yeah, but the point is that there were opportunities for us to do the things like that we enjoyed, whereas now, not as many opportunities for things like that. And so I think that, in terms of just a flat out like business proposition, the women that created this, it was like the demand is still there. It's the container and the venue that needed work. And that's where kind of the business mind comes in. Like, how can we tap into something that people really want, but give it a new spin or morph it into something that makes more sense for people who are at a different stage in their lives.
Well, and also the way that they make it pop-ups.
Yeah,
because
I love that.
About it. Like if they just had one brick and mortar in a city, like even, well, not New York, because I feel like New York has so many tourists and things, but like would it get old after a while?
Yeah.
Like would and so the fact that they do pop-ups and they have different locations all the time, and they do it all over the United States.
Yeah.
So, I just think it keeps it fresh. It keeps it fun. It's like, maybe you go to 2 a year or something.
Yeah. And it's very different from like ladies' night, right? Like that's not the vibe,
What is ladies' night even? Like,
so
ladies' night would be...
It's like a night in the week at a nightclub where women get in free, drinks are half price for women, all that kind of stuff. I'm flashing back, and this is one of my fun core memories, and it's actually within the last few years. Shout out to my girl, Lori. She's a huge fan of the podcast. So we were at a work function and went to one of those like dueling pianos bars, right? And we all had a very stressful day that day. We got some news about what we needed to accomplish that year, and all of us were either ready to throw up or slit our wrists, depending on like where you at on that continuum. So we went out and drank and danced. And my girl Lori decided she was going to help us all out and was trying to talk the bartender into giving us drinks. And either in the state she was in, or I don't know, the subtle like backstory didn't drop. She's like, guys, I got the bartender to give us free drinks. This is so great. And then we're like, Lori, it's ladies' night. Like, we get free drinks. She's like, Well, that was on me. Anyways, I think you had to be there, but there you go. So, yes, that is the difference with ladies' night, is that it's a like a regular kind of thing, and it's like designed to bring, frankly, business to a nightclub on an off night. Like they're usually like, you're not going to have it on a Friday or Saturday. It's like a Thursday night or a Tuesday night. And so the idea is they're bringing women out there, which, and of course, where the women are, the men will follow to a certain extent. So at least if you're talking about a heterosexual relationship. So that is the idea behind it. But you're right. I do like the idea that it's pop-up, that it's special, like it's an occasion, like they're doing, right? Because, I mean, I don't know that an establishment that did that every day of the week would make it. Like, yeah, I think it's awesome, but I don't know that I'm going to be going there once a week. Like, that's just not going to happen with my schedule. But if it's a special thing that I'm going to with my girlfriends, like you're like, hey, it's happening in March, I'm totally down with that.
Hey there, I'm Lisa Corachella McDowell, your midlife Pacific Northwest princess, here to guide you in the art of next leveling your life. I'm passionate about women's health and wellness in midlife, especially for moms parenting kids with unique needs like I do. I truly believe we can learn, grow, advocate, and care for the planet while taking care of ourselves and our families. And I'd love to help you do the same. And I'm beyond excited to tell you about my membership for maxed out mamas just like me, the Empowered Parent Collective. It's a space for parents to confidently advocate for their kids, build inclusive communities, educate themselves, and find balance and support along the way. To find out more about the Empowered Parent Collective, my classes, wellness offerings, parenting tips, advocacy resources, and exclusive Drinks with the Girls goodies, head to nextlevellifewithlisa.com. Let's survive and thrive in the messy middle together.
So, like on my virtual vision bingo board, that's a mouthful, I envision a future for Drinks with the Girls where we have live events, right? Like once a quarter somewhere out there. And one feature of that is a early birds party. Like how cool would that be, right? I think that just this idea of it's a safe space for women to go and enjoy dancing, and it's not it's a judgment-free zone. It's like they said, free of the mean girl stuff, right? Like that's not a part of it, which seems to happen when like the male gaze is involved in a lot of ways. Like we've talked about that. Like this is literally, it's a space for you to dance and be nostalgic and just come as you are and dance your butt off.
And the fact that we could show up at these pop-ups, the Early Birds Club, and not have to take care of one thing or one person except for our joy. Like, because when you go out to dinner with your family, you're still taking care of people. So not having to worry about anybody but yourself and your own just happiness, I think is pretty cool.
I just talked about like what was fun for me in my 20s with college, right? And staying up all night and doing all those things, which holds like zero appeal to me right now. Like there is no way I'm going to stay up all night and drive and do all those things. Like not going to freaking happen. So what's something for you that was like, oh my God, it was great when I was in my 20s or when I was younger. And now like, these are the parts that would be fun, but it needs a different container.
I mean, kind of the same for me. Like in my 20s, it was, going out, it was having drinks at somebody's house, like a house party or out. I didn't really go to clubs and things, but I would go to, like restaurant bars who might have a band at 10 p.m., things like that. I enjoyed it at the time, but it's not like I was this party hamster that was just like, oh my God, yeah, I want to be out all the time.
Party hamster, I love it.
I am an introvert. Yeah, I'm an extroverted introvert, I think. But, if I'm with friends and if I'm with the right people, then that's fun. I think in my 40s, actually, is when I really dove in head first to that type of fun. Like I would go to festivals with my girlfriends, a lot of concerts with my girlfriends, girls' weekends out, usually involved like, dinners and going to places that had music, not necessarily clubs, but I think in my 40s, I lived what most people live in their 20s.
Well, and it's interesting, just continuing on this theme of like stuff that was you thought would be cool then, but isn't now. And kind of one of the things that my husband and I have recently done, and again, without hijacking this whole conversation, I feel like the idea of fun and like socializing and all that has really changed since the pandemic. I feel like people are a lot less into hosting things at their house, personally. I feel like that has really changed a lot. And listeners, prove me wrong. Like, email us and be like, no, we host this every year. Like, I just don't know that it's done with the frequency that it was done pre-pandemic. Who knows? I could be wrong. But my point is that so in our living room, we have these hutches, right? And like a lot of people, we got China patterns for our wedding. And we were looking at it the other day when we were watching TV, and we're like, when was the last time we used that? When are we going to, like, are we really going to use this again? And like, here's the thing. It's a retired pattern. So it is like Wedgwood bone china that they don't make anymore. And just for funsies, we did what any sane person would do and looked it up on eBay. And it is bonkers ridiculous how much we can get for it. And we looked at each other and went like, keeping it in our hutch or having room for other things. And that could go towards a really, really nice vacation. Because we're talking thousands of dollars. And we just looked at each other and we're like, is this something that has value or meaning for us? Or has it outlived its usefulness and we can morph it into something else? And we decided it was the latter. And so that's something we're going to be doing later on, right? So just this idea of like, are we going to be hosting tons of dinner parties? Not that we ever wouldn't, but is it an important value of ours still to have really, really nice china that we can pull out for dinner parties? Like my mom always said, oh, when I die, you're going to inherit my silver. Like it's this whole big thing, right? And I'm like, fuck that. Like, it's just like the idea of like, I don't have a body of servants who are going to polish my silver for like, and I think about my poor mother and what she must have had to do to get ready for Thanksgiving with silver and all that. And right. And that was just what you did back then, but hells no. Like that is getting eBayed. Boom.
And if you all have listened to our decluttering episodes, you know that I have boxes and boxes of oh hell knows that I haven't been able to get rid of that were my mother's and grandmother's silver that is black with tarnish because it's never seen silver polish.
Is this bringing us value? Is there a reason we should be storing this, keeping this? Or is this just we're doing this because like, again, there's that unwritten rule that we shouldn't break. And the decision we came to is, we're ready to let it go and we'd rather take the money and apply it toward a good vacation.
I love that. But my question is, why didn't you guys just use it?
Well, again, right? And that's part of the calculus of it. Why didn't we just use it? Right? And we started having that conversation. And part of it went to, well, gosh, we weren't having people over for basically 2-3 years because of the pandemic. And oh, wait, we were raising 2 kids that needed a lot of time and attention, and we tended to be very insular because people just didn't get it. And so, frankly, we stopped socializing a lot.
But I mean, use it for you guys.
And I think that that's fine, but I think it's that risk-reward calculation, right?
No, definitely. I think I'm not questioning the decision because I think it's great. Yeah, take something that we don't use that has value that we could put into something that actually gives our family value. No, that makes total sense. But yeah, I think I was just thinking about how we tend to do that. It's like we keep this fancy shit and we only pull it out for certain occasions instead of, just using it on the daily.
So it really comes down to what do we value? What pieces do we want to continue? And what are we just ready to let go because there seems to be a better idea of evolving it into something different.
Bringing it back to this idea of the Early Birds Club and your question about like, well, what do we think is fun now? And how has fun kind of changed or evolved for us? And I look at my daughters when they, are going out somewhere because they're young. They still go out and do the things. They get all dressed up and, they spend a lot of time doing that. And I'm thinking you would have to drug me to get heels on my feet. First of all, like, I don't want Spanx anywhere near me, things like that. And I think, it's just how we change over time, but the piece of fun and just wanting to have fun, like that doesn't change.
Yeah.
It just looks different, maybe.
What is the kernel? I mean, I think this podcast is a perfect example, right? Like, this podcast was born, almost a couple years ago when, frankly, like, the world was still kind of getting out of the COVID malaise, right? And this idea that in the modern world, people have become so freaking disconnected, and you pile on top of that midlife and all the responsibilities, like, women don't have the opportunity to get together in community as much as they used to. And so that was a big part of how this podcast was born. Like, we always say this to each other, and we probably should mention it more on the podcast because, y'all, like, I know everybody's going to like drop their AirPods when I say this, but Karen and I have literally not been in the same physical space since we were 13. Like, I'm not kidding you. And we want to. Like, we want to plan a trip and all that. But at some point, it just became, like, irrelevant, right? Like, she's one of my besties, right? But she wasn't for a long time just because we weren't connected. But here we are. We show up. We do this podcast. Like, in fact, we had so we get publicists that reach out to us, which is really super cool because you guys are a wanted audience. And this particular publicist was kind of like pimping the idea of her guest traveling to us. And I just started laughing when I saw this, and it's like they have no idea, like
are you going to Oregon or
yeah,
California?
like, wait a minute, right? And so I think that that's super cool, but at the same time really sad. Like, you don't think I want to squish Karen in real life? Like, come on, right? But this idea of the podcast being something that supersedes that, right? So kind of like the Early Birds Club. Like, what do we like? We like the fun. What do we like? We like the community. We like being in touch with each other regularly. What's the problem? We don't want to stay up that late. What's the problem? Airplane flights, living in two different states. So how can we make the good parts work, the parts that we find joy in, and morph the others into something that makes a lot more sense? I mean, I think that's really the bottom line of what we're doing.
I love how you just drew that connection right to the podcast. Good work, girl. Good work.
Thank you very much. I do this professionally, sort of, not really.
Okay, quick pause. Have we talked about the Pod Squad lately?
Oh, the Pod Squad. You mean our email list /VIP lounge /digital wine club?
Exactly. So listeners, if you're not on it yet, you're basically making life harder for yourself when it comes to podcasts.
Like trying to scroll for show notes while speed walking on a treadmill. Wait, what was that link again? Oh, no. Grab the side rails.
Or pulling up that book we mentioned while you're in the Starbucks line and then realizing everybody else moved up 3 cars and now you're that woman.
We've all been there. That's why we made the Pod Squad. You'll get new episode alerts every week with direct links. Easy to listen, easy to share.
And show notes straight to your inbox. So when we drop a life-changing product, book, hot tip, or yummy new drink, you're not rummaging through your memory like a woman searching for her reading glasses when they're on top of her head.
It's organized, it's helpful, it's for you, babes.
So join the Pod Squad. The link is in the show notes. Just tap it.
Snacks, sarcasm, solidarity.
And obviously, fighting the patriarchy.
We write at dawn.
Okay, have you ever heard of silent discos?
Okay, I hadn't until we went on one of our Autism on the Seas cruise, and they had a silent dance party for the kids. And it was really, really cool because, long story short, y'all listen to that episode, but it's basically a cruise where there is all sorts of accommodations and support for families like mine with kids that are on the spectrum or have more significant disabilities, right? And so, for example, my son, one of the things that's really been, he loves music, loves music, but the idea of him, and he likes to dance, so we tried hip hop, and it was like one class and he was done. Like, he could not handle the loudness of the music. So the idea is you've got your AirPods in and you're listening to whatever is your jam, and then the person next to you is the same and they're listening to whatever their jam is, and you're having a silent disco party.
Yeah, I saw it for the first time at, I think it was a music festival down here in San Diego. This was years ago. And one of the little, things you could do was, go into this little silent disco. I'm like, what the hell is that? And so I peeked in, and it's all these people with headphones on, and there's no sound, right? Because
Hence
they're all
the silent
to their own thing. And I'm just thinking to myself, what is happening right now? And thinking, I mean, let me just say, in your experience with autism on the Cs, it makes sense to me because you have kids that are like overstimulated, right?
Yep.
And have very specific preferences. In this situation, I'm looking around at all these adults and I'm thinking, this is the most disconnected thing I've ever seen.
What?
But I mean, I guess it works. You know, everybody can listen to what they want. I just was curious if you'd ever heard of that because I'm like, I don't get it. Don't get it. One of the other things that I really love about the Early Birds Club is that whole releasing responsibility. And we've talked about this a little bit, right? No, you're not taking care of anybody. There's no caregiving roles to be in. Your stress is at home and you just are allowed to have fun. And that is what connects you to who you are. Like that girl that you used to be. And we don't get opportunities enough to do that. We don't get opportunities to just really connect with, you know, the 8-year-old version of ourselves who was silly and fun, you know, or the 18 version of ourselves who just loved to explore, you know, moving her body. So I just think that reclaiming all of this for women is just, I just appreciate this opportunity that the Early Birds Club has given women. And in fact, I wanted to say midlife women, but my bonus daughter and I were talking about going, and she's like an older millennial. It's not like you have to be 50 or 60 years old to appreciate, you know, this situation.
It speaks to this idea that you have in your coaching where you talk about it's not self-care, it's self-indulgence or pleasure, right? And the idea, I mean, I certainly experience it, is you have women write down 50 things that give them pleasure and nobody can do it, right? Because we're not used to that. We're not used to doing something that's pleasurable just because it's pleasurable. Like there's something seriously wrong with that. And that's what I think this whole idea capitalizes on is it's not the PTO fair where you're having fun, but it's really about like fundraising for, you know what I mean? There's all these like buts and ifs and like containers for it, right? It can never be like, hey, I'm just going to go have a dance party because I want to have a dance party. And that, I think that's really what they're kind of celebrating.
Yeah. And zero performative expectations. You know, it's like you don't have to worry about, you know, having your hair in place or how am I going to address this certain crowd or what am I going to say? Or no, it's just letting your hair down, having a good time.
Like, what's the journey you go on with your clients when it's like you drop the, hey, your homework is to write a list of 50 things that are pleasurable, and they go, are you out of your freaking mind, right? Like I'm sure there's a journey that they follow every time. So talk a little bit about that.
I mean, the journey starts with the permission slip, you know, because like you said, like nobody's ever asked them to write down 50 things that they would do just purely for their own pleasure. But they have to give themselves that acknowledgement that they're worthy of that they don't have to think about, you know, all the 423 things that they're thinking about that have to do with their partner or their kids or their parents or their job. They just are worthy of thinking about things that they can do just by themselves for their own pleasure. And I know, you know, people have a hard time when I say self-indulgence, like they think that it's a negative thing. And I want to change that. And this Early Birds Club falls perfectly into that narrative because you're not doing it for anybody but yourself.
And you do this exercise pretty early on in your coaching relationship, right? Like I remember it being one of the first things that we did. So I'm sure that's deliberate on your part.
Every client is different. And so every client comes with different things, with different blocks, with different goals. And so it just depends on the client and where they're at and what they need. You know, like some women come to me and they're very performance driven and they're not really in touch with what does bring me pleasure. How can I eke out joy every day? You know, even in small ways. Because they're just they don't think about that. They think about, okay, what's my next task? What's my next thing I have to do? I had one client, she used to always just talk about what she accomplished for the day, right? And so I had to help her like, first of all, realize what she was doing. And she really was one that dove into that whole 50 things list. Like, she was like, once that door was open for her, she was like, oh,
you
hell
couldn't
yeah.
shut it.
Give it to me. Yeah. Yeah. So that's fun. I love that. And honestly, like, I would give, if these early bird pop-ups were all around, I would give this as homework.
Oh my gosh. That in
my
the rage
clients.
room, right? Day 1, rage room. Day 2, pop-up early bird party.
For sure. Yes. Rage room should be in all women's toolbox for.
Like, I love the
stress
fact
relief.
that when you went to that rage room, they were like, so, and who referred you? Which therapist referred you? Sorry,
Right?
what?
Exactly. Well, that just tells you that it's
Totally.
like, it's a thing. So listeners, if this sounds intriguing to you, if this sounds like something that you want to explore for yourself, check out the Early Birds Club. Go online, go on Instagram, find them, see if there's going to be a pop-up near you. And if not, maybe you could even host a little mini Early Bird Club for yourself and your friends, dance party, vision board brunch, whatever lights you up, and just make sure you're having fun.
God forbid.
God forbid.
Just doing it for fun, because we're here for that. So, share. Hey, maybe you think you would love to host one of these things with the girlfriend, right? Send her this episode. I mean, I think that would be, oh my gosh. And we'd love pictures. Slide into our DMs and send us a picture of your party. Like, we would be all freaking over that. Subscribe to the pod, got all the things. Again, we hope that we are part of that list for you of things that are just pleasurable. Like, I would love it if that became one of everybody's 50 things that are pleasurable, for sure.
Listen to Drinks with the Girls. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.